In 1933, Marine Corps Major General Smedley Butler was approached by a wealthy and secretive group of industrialists and bankers led by none other than Prescott Bush to overthrow President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and establish a fascist dictatorship right here in the United States. During that time in history, Smedley Butler was the most decorated Marine of all time, and the conspirators believed he could command a rogue army of 500,000 World War I veterans to stage a coup d'etat and overthrow the United States government. The plan to install a fascist dictatorship by force was exposed when Major General Smedley Butler blew the whistle and identified the ringleaders in a testimony given to the United States House Committee on Un-American Activities. The committee concluded that Butler's allegations were true, but incredibly, no one was charged, and the majority of the media blackballed the story. Senator Prescott Bush, who is the father of George Bush Sr. and the grandfather of George W. Bush, went on to help finance Hitler's rise to power and even continued business dealings with the Nazis well after America entered the Second World War. It wasn't until his company's assets were seized in 1942 under the Trading with the Enemy Act that his financial ties with Nazi Germany were finally dissolved. At the end of World War II, Operation Paperclip was launched by the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, to smuggle known Nazi war criminals into the United States for recruitment into U.S. intelligence agencies. The Nazis were cleared to work in America after having their backgrounds bleached by the military. False employment histories were provided, and their previous Nazi affiliations were completely removed from the record. The OSS provided a model for the Central Intelligence Agency that was established in September 1947. The CIA specialized in propaganda, economic warfare, sabotage, and demolition. By the early 1950s, they controlled over 25 newspapers and wire agencies and had 3,000 plus employees engaged in propaganda. Journalists willing to promote the views of the CIA included members of the New York Times, Time Magazine, Newsweek, The Washington Post, and CBS Television. The CIA's rise to power gave birth to the military-industrial complex. And by the end of Eisenhower's presidency in 1961, it had become evident that the federal government could no longer control the agency. The CIA had gone rogue.
I appeared before the Congressional Committee, the highest representation of the American people, under subpoena to tell what I knew of activities which I believe might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship.
Does America owe its edge in military technology to Nazi war criminals brought here after World War II?
The truth is that thousands of former Nazis, some of whom committed atrocities, went to work for the United States government.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks? This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We're really talking about intelligence at the highest levels of the U.S. government, setting the broad direction for the nation.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for,
We have indeed,
for killing people?
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Yes.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
If you've been anywhere near a television set or a radio these past few hours, you already know that John Lennon of the Beatles is dead. He was shot late this evening in front of his apartment building in New York City.
Despite evidence that Noriega was involved in drug trafficking, Bush kept Noriega on the payroll.
We interrupt your regular programming to tell you of a plane crash in northeastern Minnesota, where we have just had confirmed a short while ago 8 people were killed on a small Beech aircraft that was on its way to Eveleth, Minnesota, including Senator Paul Wellstone of Minnesota. And according to the senior staff in the senator's office, not only the senator, but his wife Sheila, his daughter, 3 members of his staff, and the 2 pilots.
The CIA has been and is now completely out of control.
The accusation is that drugs are being sold by the Contras and that the CIA knew about it and didn't do anything.
Shots. God. These are the agents immediately diving after the assailant. There are 2 or 3 people down on the ground.
An assassination attempt. The president was hit, but pushed immediately into the limousine and rushed to the hospital.
William Colby has been missing since April 27th. His canoe was found washed up on the banks of the Wicomico River, April 28th.
He's missing and presumed drowned.
The United States tonight declared in effect that Panama's General Manuel Noriega is a threat to this country's national security.
When George Bush became director of the CIA in 1976, he inherited Noriega as a contact.
When you read these outrageous charges by a drug-related, indicted dictator, discount them. They are total lies.
In 1976, Flight 455, which took off from Venezuela bound for Cuba, suddenly exploded. All 73 passengers and 5 crew members aboard died after the plane crashed near Barbados. Four of the terrorists were found to be Latin Americans contracted by the U.S. One of the attack's masterminds, Posada Capriles, currently lives freely in Miami.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th.
The numbers about potential civilian casualties, I take with a somewhat big grain of salt. Let us bomb these places.
What does that make Hillary Clinton to the Bush family?
My sister-in-law.
I love Bill Clinton.
J.P. Morgan.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water?
Yeah, it does.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.